Yoga is a chance for someone to completely turn off and to focus. To focus on your mind, focus on your body, and to focus on yourself. It provides a safe space of escape to understand your stress and anxieties and to process it in a really healthy and manageable way. So often we get overwhelmed by all the pressures of life, and as a yoga teacher, being able to offer my skills to someone in need is a really amazing experience. And working with these young people really opened my eyes.
My interest in yoga really started 5 years ago, and it has been a very personal journey. My brother committed suicide, and very shortly after that, I took up the practice of yoga and quickly realized the benefits for myself, both physically and mentally. I spent many years working with looked after children, and I've always been struck by the levels of trauma that they've experienced. I began to look around to see if there was a certain type of yoga that would potentially improve the health and psychological well-being of our looked after children.
The Southern Trust first approached me to do a yoga class with looked after children. And I was immediately excited to offer them a little bit of respite and a little bit of relaxation and a little bit of time to switch off. Was something that I just found a lovely opportunity. A lot of people have preconceptions about what yoga is, whether it's going to be turning yourself into a pretzel upside down or if you're going to be doing a lot of meditation sitting in lotus pose. And the class that we were approaching the young people with was really simple. It was about moving their body, breathing, and learning to relax. So to see them come back and to do the same poses again and again, and to see the self-belief start to grow and for them to get more confident in what they were doing, it was really rewarding to see how fast the benefits were starting to come their way. After we did the course for the looked after children, we talked to the Trust about how we could expand it out to other young people that could benefit from this programme. And we worked with both children and under 18s with autism.
Whenever Francesca Leyden spoke to me about the yoga, she didn't need to sell it to me. I've already practiced yoga before, so I knew personally what the benefits were. I knew it worked with the looked after children group, and I knew it would be ideal and would be very beneficial for children and young people who attend CAMHS and autism services.
I've quite an interest in kind of alternative psychological therapies. In Northern Ireland, alternative therapies, they're not something that's very common. That's because for years and years we've relied very heavily on the likes of talking therapies. So we need to look for something that is going to engage different parts of the mind, so maybe using the body to do that.
Lots of young people who experience anxiety, mental health issues or autism are very intimidated by the clinical model, by coming into appointments. So group work interventions, it's really important that it has a selling point. It's something that they can relate to, it's something that they can benefit from and enjoy.
When we think about children with autism, we're really thinking about those core areas of difficulty in terms of their social interaction, their communication and their imagination. So that really refers to their thinking and their behaviour styles.
I think it was the setting of the programme in that it was in the yoga form. It was in a very relaxed atmosphere. A lot of other interventions in terms of trying to deal with young people's emotional well-being, mental health are very clinical, whereas yoga was in a more relaxed atmosphere which really worked for the young people.
My name is Lorinda Sharkey and I have a wee boy who is currently about 11 and a half, which is very important to him at the moment. Matthew was diagnosed with autism when he was 5. It's very hard to see Matthew struggle with the social side of his life. It's very difficult for him to put himself in situations where there are other people that he doesn't know as well. But it's something that we've always encouraged him to do, put himself out there and do things that he's maybe not comfortable with, but will benefit him in the long run.
Young people who experience mental health difficulties and autism, they lack the social opportunities that programs like the yoga programs and other creative programs allow for.
My name's Amy and I'm 17 coming 18. Autism can be like good in a sense because you get to meet loads of people with such varieties and your interests are so intense, but then at the same time it's harder to talk to people and people can just be cruel about it and not understand you. All the way through my life I wasn't very social with people, and when I was it was very limited. Kind of felt really lonely, but I had my family and all to help me through it.
Whenever Chris came to me about yoga, I was really excited about it. The first yoga class, it was actually really comfortable.
It was a lot of new people, but once we got settled in, it was fun and interesting. It made me like a lot more confident, and I've met friends I can talk to now, and it's just made a world of difference.
They were quite shy, they didn't know each other. And with falling out of the yoga poses, they became less serious and a little bit more comfortable, and we all had a laugh and a giggle about it. And it became much more socially inclusive.
Our class allows creativity, but then the problem is you're very focused on what you're doing, and that's what can be harder to socialise. Whereas the yoga, it's a bit easier to socialise because you're all doing the same thing, same poses, and you can talk about it at the end.
I think it's really important to grow up with sports because it gives you a foundation for having a healthy lifestyle. It caters to everyone's needs.
The attraction being it's really high intensity but very low impact, so it's great for anyone with joint or mobility issues. Once you start taking care of your body in such a practical and regimented way, it feeds into all your other aspects of your life.
It's my understanding that young people with autism don't really enjoy playing team sports as much, with all this social interaction and the competitive nature with it. And through yoga, they were able to get really good exercise for their bodies and for their minds, and they were able to have little competitions with themselves.
This was the first time that the physical side of it sort of came in. When he was younger, he went to Scouts, and I was able to get him to different wee local youth clubs and stuff, but as he gets older, it's getting harder to get him out.
I'm not the typical lad that goes out and plays football or basketball, those sort of sports. It was a good alternative type of exercise to do that I really enjoyed.
Some people with autism don't like getting into team sports or competitive sports because it can be a lot of pressure to win.
I played literally every sport, but I've never really stuck with it because I don't get along with teammates. I get too nervous and then I feel really self-conscious about it and I can't play as well as I want to.
But with yoga, it's like a competitive sport, but there's no losing or winning. You're just all doing it together and you're all just doing the same thing at your own pace.
I, to be honest, was delighted because I could see Matthew was actually enjoying it because there was no physical contact with anybody else and he could sort of be in charge of his own movements. He was more comfortable. If he didn't do the complete pose, nobody was telling him that he was wrong or anything, so he was a lot happier, I think. He said he would go back to the second session, so to me that was a win.
We talk to our young people all the time about relaxing, about chilling out, about being able to think about what they're experiencing. And I believe that the yoga program really let them do that. Feedback from the young people about the yoga program was that they themselves didn't realise that yoga could be such a powerful intervention.
I think nowadays with social media, this made up image of what you should be like. The whole class, you're staring in the mirror. You can look at yourself and you start to look at yourself and say, all right, I'm actually not that bad. There's nothing wrong with me. I don't have to fit in this image that everyone else is trying to fit into. For a lot of young people, if they were to do something like that, it should be able to build up their confidence in their personal image.
I know certainly one of the girls talked about how difficult it was for her to lie down and go to sleep at night, and one of the things that we would suggest for them in their relaxation at the end of class would be relax your jaw, unclench your teeth, relax your tongue away from the roof of your mouth. And that was something that she started to tell herself every night before she went to sleep. And that clench of tension and that residual holding on of anxiety in the top of the shoulder blades and all the way up to the top of the spine is a really challenging thing to even notice or be aware of. And yet when she went home and went to sleep, she realised that she felt tense, and she worked on how to relax that and move away from that.
By practicing this in a 60-minute session, young people are really getting a sense of how to use their breath to control that stress response system. So they may not be aware that they're doing it, but that breathing calms the body, calms the nervous system, and starts to change how the neural pathways develop.
I had a car full of 16 to 18-year-olds. Were very shy at the beginning with the mirrors and the lights. There was a 360-degree change in the young people because they became very calm and very quiet and sleepy in the car.
The biggest thing that Matthew realised was not everybody had thousands of thoughts in their head all the time. It was one of the things that the yoga instructor had said about having so many thoughts in your head and being able to organise those. I think one of the things that Matthew took away was to lie down and dream that you were on a boat. He still does this. From the first session, made a huge impact on Matthew.
Outside of yoga, when a young person experiences stress, they experience anxiety, they have a skill set to draw upon. They have breathing techniques that they can use that help calm the body and bring them back to a sense of peace and calm.
We were able to give them the opportunity to breathe through situations that took their breath away. And for some of them with really turbulent home lives, it became a coping mechanism in a way that they would never have accessed otherwise.
It can benefit people even with trauma because it just allows you to relax, get away from everything in life and just be alone with your thoughts. I feel like a lot more confident, and I feel like I'd be more likely to exercise now.
Feedback from them was that I've never felt so relaxed. I didn't realise that I could be still for so long and again also be flexible. Some of the moves in the yoga program are quite strenuous and are quite difficult holds, but our young people could do it, and with that comes success. They enjoyed the fact that each week that they went back, that they got better at it.
I didn't even realise to the extent of the amount of thoughts that Matthew has running through his head. He'll go to his room and he will centre himself, tries to bring down the amount of things that are running through his head. It does make a huge difference to Matthew, and for me and for my husband, that's a huge benefit.
From the first class right through to the classes at the end, where we would maybe have 8, 9, 10 kids asleep in the room, and we would just tiptoe out and wait for them to wake up. You could really see the progress from something like that, just in terms of creating an environment where they felt safe and able to be themselves.
I feel that I definitely have a stronger relationship with the 3 young people that attended the yoga program with us. Normally you're maybe going out to see your young people for maybe an hour a month. So this was a nice relaxed way to do something different and really get to know them.
Even for the parents to be aware, it gives you time then to reflect on life in general. It enables you to make a connection even with your child, to have more of an understanding of what they go through on a daily basis.
Yoga is a fantastic therapeutic intervention because it's a preventative method. It's encouraging people to think a little bit healthier about both their body and their mind.
When I first introduced the idea of doing yoga with our looked after children, I had full support from my senior management team, who were very enthusiastic about looking at new and innovative ways of working with our young people. The trusts are constantly being asked to make efficiencies and savings, and on the other hand, we're being asked to produce quality improvement and innovation. So this yoga program does both. It's relatively inexpensive. It has excellent outcomes, and there's unforeseen benefits in the relationship between the social workers and the staff.
We've been very fortunate to get support from the social work strategy and from the senior management team within Children and Young People's Directorate to be innovative. We've been allowed to be creative, and the yoga program's part of that. But it shouldn't just stop at the Children and Young People's Directorate. It should go into all programs of care, I believe, because what they allow young people and the people who access those services to do is to learn from each other as well, and they're learning a new skill and they're being creative. That's all part of looking after your social and your emotional well-being, and it's part of a recovery process if you're unwell.
It's a shared experience for the young people and their social workers, so it positively improves their relationship.
There's never been a better time to use something like yoga as an alternative therapy.
I would really encourage all parents and their children to attend.
we are probably ideally placed to meet kids on a level that affects and hopefully nurtures not just their physical but their mental health as well.
This is everything that we want from a psychological therapy to help young people who are facing those challenges that children with autism and children in the care system experience.